Hello everybody, and welcome to ChessDiagnostic. This is Andrew, and we're going to look at a game between Alexander Morozevich and Viswanathan Anand. Now this game was played in 1995, and it starts off with e4, e5, f4. And Morozevich is white here, and a unique thing about Morozevich is he's one of the few top GMs that plays offbeat and very crazy or old lines. So his games have a ton of very interesting ideas and tactical complications. So with f4 and e takes f, we get the King's Gambit accepted. So Morozevich plays bishop to c4, the somewhat modern line of the King's Gambit accepted, where he tries to develop his kingside pieces, castle as quickly as possible, and then start a kingside attack or play in the center. Alright, with knight to f6, threatening the e4 pawn, knight to c3 protecting it, and now with c6, the standard line, trying to play d5 to cut off that bishop, and somewhat neutralize white's pieces. We get a transposition here. Instead of playing d4 and then moving the bishop back after it's threatened after a trade, he just moves the bishop back, d5, pawn takes, and then d4. Alright, so the bishop's pinning that knight, knight to f3, castle, castle. And now here's, after bishop takes c3, pawn takes, here's where the real game starts. So with queen to c7, protecting f4 and also putting pressure on the c3 pawn, Morozevich comes up with a multi-purpose move of queen to e1, temporarily protecting the c3 pawn and also preparing his queen to swing over to h4 to assist with a kingside attack, as well as putting pressure on the f4 pawn. Knight to c6, and then we get queen to h4 immediately. The knight comes back, and now the queen's free to take that pawn, although it's a weak pawn and it's on the queen side, so it doesn't really contribute anything to white's position anyway. Bishop takes f4, and of course this knight move back also prepares the knight to either move to f5 or g6, protecting black's own kingside. Queen takes on c3, and now we get the bishop move back immediately with a tempo on the queen. Queen moves back. Now another idea was to play something like bishop to g5, just putting pressure on the knights, but of course black could play something like knight to g6, and it's kind of hard to find what white should do. The computer actually recommends a queen trade with queen to e1 after knight to g6, but of course we're not going for that, because when a human plays the King's Gambit accepted, he's going for a mating attack on the king. Alright, so after bishop to d2, queen back, we see knight to e5, just activating his pieces, and then with knight to f5, somewhat consolidating as well as putting pressure on the d4 pawn. Now queen to f4, preparing ideas like g4 and g5 to assist in his kingside attack using a pawn thrust. Bishop to e6, and now black is doing okay here actually. All these moves are very solid. So Morozevich comes up with an interesting idea with bishop to b4, threatening the rook, and the computer recommends something like rook here or here. We get rook to c8. So the idea of this move was just to chase that rook away from the king side, and we get g4. So chasing the knights back, and now Morozevich decides to activate his least active piece. Immediately, like g5, somebody could do, but there's a lot of ideas in this position. Morozevich just goes for the very simple and solid rook to e1. And now we get knight from f to e4. Okay, so Morozevich comes up with a somewhat unsound but very interesting idea with c4. Now we see here that, of course, knight can't take, because then we would just take, and the queen can't take, so the pawn, and he loses a piece in this line. But after the pawn takes, it opens up, or undermines, I guess you could say, this knight on e4, and he has to go back. So Morozevich actually plays a slight inaccuracy with g5, and now black would retain a slight advantage with knight to d5, playing in the center. We get a blunder from Anand with knight to h5, queen to f3, threatening the knight, and the computer recommends something like queen to b6, just counterattacking these bishops, and even allowing white to take this knight, but at this point it's actually lost for Anand, because all these pieces here on the queen side, the two rooks and the knight, as well as this bishop that's not really doing much, are highly inactive. And after g6, if you want to try to guess the next move, I would recommend you pause the video, but it's somewhat obvious. Knight takes, bishop takes, and, well, black's position has completely crumbled. Queen to f7. Alright, so it looks like maybe this solves all his problems, but actually after queen to d5, threatening the queen with a discovery, and after knight to f5, the rook can take. So even if pawn takes, we get something like g6, and it just gets worse and worse. The discovery is going to happen. He has to sack, and it's all over. So in 28 moves with the King's Gambit accepted, Morozevich crushed Anand in 1995. An amazing game, and it's really encouraging me to play some more offbeat lines, or at least learn some. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this game. I'll be posting more endgame content, so stick around for that, and thanks for watching. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe for future videos. See you in the future.